So when you're done printing all of your books, you want to clean your plate using a rag and the mineral oil that the shop gave you. So I like to start wiping my plate down with just a dry rag and getting that first thick layer of ink off. And this is kind of a gradual process as well. So it might take a little bit depending on how much surface area of your plate you have. Once you've got that initial thick layer of ink off, then I fold my rag to a clean spot and I put a small dab of mineral oil on my rag, and then again just start wiping down the plate. And that mineral oil is going to help pull out that last little bit of ink. So I'll do this a few times. I'll fold my rag to get a clean side, and I'll give it a little drop of mineral oil, and then I'll wipe it. And you want to do that until your rag is coming away clean and there's no ink left on the plate. So after you're done cleaning your plate, you need to clean your palette and your brayer. And the first thing I do is scrape the excess ink off of the palette onto a piece of scrap paper. And if there was a lot, you might be able to save it by putting it back in the can or by wrapping it in a piece of wax paper or foil. But if there's just a small amount, you probably can't save it. So after I scrape that excess off, then I'm going to put just a tiny drop of mineral oil on my palette, and I'll use a dirty rag. I'll start with one that's already kind of dirty and just wipe that surface clean. And you can roll your brayer out into that oily surface, and that will kind of help pull some excess ink off the brayer. And then, go back and wipe that palette clean again as well. So for your ink knife, you just want to wipe the ink off of it and just pay attention to all the sides of the knife. It's got two flat sides and then all of those edges. Ink can sit in all those areas. So just make sure you wipe the whole thing down. For the brayer, I flip my rag to a clean side and then I just start wiping off that ink. And it's kind of the same as the plate. I'll flip my rag to a clean side. I'll get a little bit of mineral oil and then I'll wipe it. And you just want to keep doing that until the surface of the brayer is totally clean. So you shouldn't see, I know that my brayer is black and yours is tan. You shouldn't be able to see any ink film left on there. It should be back to the color you started with. And one good indication for me when I have a black on black situation like mine is it shouldn't be shiny. Shine is either ink or oil, and both of those things you don't want to leave on the brayer. So I'll keep wiping until I've got that surface of the brayer back. So once I've got the majority of that ink film off, I'll switch to a clean rag, and it's dry, and I'm just trying to get that oily film off. And again, you can see I've got a white rag, so you want to wipe until there's no more ink coming off. And you need to pay attention to all the surfaces of the brayer. So the rubber part obviously is really important, but ink can sit in a lot of other areas. So I'm wiping the edges of my brayer and getting it off the flat part on the side, and then I go back and I will do the handle and any of those little surfaces, that might have touched ink while I was printing. When you're done using the brayer, it has a flat side and it has mine has a little metal rest. Never rest your brayer on the rubber part. It should always be sitting up off the surface of the table. That's just going to help preserve the life of your brayer and keep it from getting a flat spot. So you want to take really good care of it. just by cleaning and storing it properly. So I will also go back and clean the palette again with that clean rag. If you have any oily film left, any kind of household cleaner like a Windex or a Lysol or something like that is going to get that oily film off of your palette and off your knife. You don't want to use anything like that on the brayer, but the palette and the knife or your table or whatever, those things will be just fine. So the ink I just wrap up in the scrap paper and throw that away. And then any rags that can't be reused, ones that are just completely soiled or saturated with ink or mineral oil, those can go in your regular trash.